Welcome to all Caribbean entrepreneurs. If you've been ready and waiting to take your business digital and get paid online while you sip something strong on the beach, this podcast is for you. We'll hear from the Caribbean's finest entrepreneurs on topics like e-commerce, business development, brand building, social media, their wins and failures. This is the only place in the region helping you navigate the digital age from the Caribbean's perspective. This is Digipreneur FM. And now, let's give it up for the Digiboss himself, Mr. Karan Rose.
Yo! Thank you to everybody tuning in to another episode of the Digipreneur FM podcast. And as usual, it is your boy, Mr. Rose. Now, DJ, you know what to do, DJ. You gotta fade us all the way out. Fade us out so we can talk to the people. It is April 11th, 2024, and this is episode number 158. How are you lovely, lovely people doing? How are you lovely folks doing in the Digipreneur family? We have made it to April. Somebody tell me how this year feels like. We're gonna blink and it's gonna be the halfway point. We're gonna blink and it's June. I know time is flying. I hope you guys are, enjoying the year so far. I hope it's been off to a really good start for you. I hope Q1 ended off with a bang. It feels like, here in Trinidad and Tobago, the year has finally started. At the end of March, first couple of days of April, everybody started picking up the phone. Everybody starting to call to make their plans, to do this, to do that. It finally feels like, we're out of that lull from Christmas to New Year's to the carnival season, and now everybody's like, all right, cool, it's time to get to work. So it kind of has that vibe in the air, A lot's happening. A lot is happening. There's a lot of, new. Well, actually, when I say a lot's happening, I'm thinking about the amount of events that are coming up that I'm looking to participate in. Not inside of the Caribbean, but there's a number of events that are happening outside of the region to kind of help build my expertise and also just expand my knowledge. One of the events that I'm looking forward to is CEX, the Content Entrepreneur. I think it's called the Expo or Content. Let me see. Let me just double check. What does the X stand for? I don't know what the X stands for, but Content Entrepreneurs put on by CEX Events. This is the brainchild of Joe Polizzi and his team. That's going to be happening from May 5th to May 7th in Cleveland, Ohio. And this is going to be diving into, how you build your revenue and your audience without relying on big tech, learning how to use AI, publishing, learning how to be a content entrepreneur, right? And they got speakers from all over the world that are going to be coming in. It's going to be amazing. There's some key topics that I'm really looking forward to learning. One of the big ones is keynote speaking. There's a workshop on keynote speaking and building your business as a keynote speaker. So I'm really looking forward to that. There's some stuff happening with regards to book publishing from some of the best in the business right now that I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to gleaning all the insights that I possibly can. The plan was I was going Colombia, but the problem is that I'm also going. Sorry, not Colombia. I was going to Cleveland for the event. The problem is that I'm also going to Colombia at right around the same time. So I've been trying to look at. Can I do conference, jump to Cleveland, and then go right to Colombia from there? I gotta weigh it out. That's the goal. The goal is to do both. go to Cleveland, and then jump over to Colombia, where we have a nice family vacation retreat, that type of vibe. And I'm also going to Colombia for some of my own personal reasons as well. It's a beautiful place, man. It's a beautiful place. A place that I'm honestly, it's been on my mind to spend some significant time there. Either at the end of this year or early next year. So I'm kind of going there to kind of scout, right? But yeah, I'm looking to spend a couple of weeks in Colombia. So I'm just deciding. Worst case scenario, what I'm going to be doing is spending a couple of weeks in Colombia in May, and then I would just do the CEX event virtually. Even though the goal is, I really want to do both. I want to go Cleveland. I keep mixing it up. I want to go Cleveland and then jump over to Colombia. But we need to, again, I would have said this at the beginning of the year. We as entrepreneurs and business owners, we need to start going to these expert events that are happening outside of the Caribbean region, because the reality is the majority of events that happen here are more expos, product launches, that type of thing. There's rarely anything happening that is going to better your skill sets in whatever industry you are in. And that's just what it is, right? Sure, your company might put on a training or a workshop with another local expert, but man, when I look around, we're not really doing anything. There's no company that's doing anything that's really groundbreaking to me locally, and it doesn't feel like me as a digital strategist, as a digital marketer, into e-commerce, content marketing, building a business in the digital space. Like for me, there's nowhere that I can look around or go to events that are helping me get better locally, right? So this is why I'm encouraging everybody to, whatever your industry is, start looking at international events. Try to head out to an international event at least once this year, something that's going to better your skill sets in your business. For me, CEX is happening. So again, whether I go in person or whether I do the online, I'm going. No ifs, ands, or buts. I'm doing it, right? So anywho, let's keep it moving. What are we here to talk about today? Today, we are going to be diving into a case study that I just recently completed. And that case study is looking at Caribbean Airlines and how they are competing against other industry giants in the digital age, right? So we're taking a look at how Caribbean Airlines is performing among some of the other top airlines that are building like an amazing digital strategy. Now, again, this case study is really all about digital strategy and building your online presence. We're not talking financials. We're not talking who is an overall bigger company, who's making the most money, yada, yada, yada. We're not going down that road. We are strictly dealing with this from a digital strategy and marketing perspective. And so we're taking Caribbean Airlines and we're going to be comparing them against Hawaiian Airlines, Southwest Airlines, Qatar Airways, Emirates. All right, so we're looking at 5 airlines and we're looking to see how all 5 of them are building in the digital space. Now, the airline industry is key to global commerce, connecting people and places while pushing the boundaries of the digital landscape. So today's airlines are more than just transportation providers. They are essentially architects of our travel experiences, right? They leverage the power of online platforms and they create these engaging journeys that begin well before passengers even board the plane. This shift has elevated the significance of having a robust digital presence. So it's no longer just about marketing and customer service. It is about the foundation of your brand. We are, or the airlines, I should say, are battling for customer loyalty and how they leverage the platforms to tell their stories. And again, it's a really competitive market. Tourism is a competitive market. I don't envy none of y'all. Right? But again, we're going to be diving into just the digital marketing side of things. All right. So we're looking at, as I said, we're looking at Southwest Airlines, Qatar Airways, Emirates, Hawaiian Airlines, and Caribbean Airlines. So first things first, how did these platforms perform overall? Now, when we're looking at the website data, we took a sample of the last 6 months, so from September to March. And then for social media, we just looked at the month of March, the performance for the last month, right? So overall, combining both the websites and social media, how did everybody perform? And I'm giving you how they performed in order, right? From first to last. So number one, overall, was Southwest Airlines. And as we go through the case study, we're going to be breaking down, why these guys performed the way that they performed, and we're going to be diving into the data, the number, the analytics, and yada, 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 right? So overall, Southwest Airlines came in at number one, and they came in number one because they had the highest website traffic over the last 6 months. They've really built a robust organic search presence, so they're easily findable for content on the search engines, and they have a really good social media strategy overall as well. So it's integrated all around. They have the most web traffic, but here's the good part. They do not have the most followers. And you will learn throughout this study that they have dispelled the notion that you need a high follower count in order to make the most impact online, right? They don't have the highest followers, but they have the most engagement, right? Qatar Airways, they stand out. They come in at number two. They got that luxurious brand appeal. They have really good social media engagement as well, particularly on their paid platforms. They do get a substantial amount of organic traffic coming into their website. So they come in at second. Third and really close overall with Qatar Airways was Emirates. Emirates has really strong website conversion, and again, they have a good, significant social media following, and they produce a lot of high-quality content. Number four was Hawaiian Airlines. They are more niche, but they do get some really good traffic on their websites and good traction engagement on their social media platforms. And number five was Caribbean Airlines. So how did these websites perform? So overall, from September to March 2024, all five websites combined for about 100 million visits. Now, keep in mind, this is just the websites, right? There's multiple touch points for these airlines. It's what we're talking about, what we're measuring is their own company websites. So you could book flights on their website, you can learn about things from their websites, but ultimately remember, we have platforms like Expedia, Bookings.com. Like there's so many platforms to book flights from them. Google Flights, you name it, right? Then people could also download the applications and use their apps. So this is just measuring the website, right? And again, I'm putting that into perspective because you're probably thinking 100 million visits for all five. I would have thought there would have been more. Well, again, because there's multiple touch points that you can engage with these platforms on, this is just looking at what their websites are able to do. So all five websites have gained over about 100 million site visits. The top traffic sources coming into their websites, number one was organic search. This was the most common traffic driving source, accounting for a significant portion of the visitors in the past couple of months. This means that people found the airline's websites by searching for them on search engines. The second top performing traffic driver to the websites was paid search. So this came in second, and this means that people saw their ads that were placed on the search engines, and that drove traffic back to their websites. Then in third was direct traffic. This means that people typed in the airline's website address directly into their browsers. So people are very familiar with each of these brands. And then last but not least, we also had traffic that came in from referral traffic, social media, email traffic, and display ads. All right, so they were more so on the lower end, but again, top 3 traffic driving sources was organic search, paid search, and direct traffic. So number 1 in terms of website traffic was Southwest Airlines. They had 58% of all web traffic coming into their website during that 6-month period that we looked at. Their strong performance in both direct traffic and organic search suggests that they have a well-established brand and really effective search engine strategy. Second and third, these ones came in relatively close together, right? Was Qatar Airways at number 2, Emirates at number 3. They captured similar traffic shares at 18.5% and 18.3% respectively. They rely heavily on paid search. 48% of the traffic coming into Qatar Airways was paid search, and 49% of paid traffic came into Emirates. So they really focus on advertising. They really focus on an advertising approach, paid ads, right? Number 4 was Hawaiian Airlines. They received a lower traffic share at 4%, and their main traffic driving source was organic search. That accounted for 4% of the traffic that came into their website, all right? And then coming at number 5 was Caribbean Airlines, and they held 0.7% of the traffic that was generated for that 6-month period, all right? So the ranking highlights the diversity of strategies employed in the digital space. So while Southwest Airlines leads with a very good mix of direct marketing and engaging content, the lower ranked websites such as Caribbean Airlines, they need to start looking at what are the other airlines doing that we can take lessons from, learn from them, and implement, which is, again, one of the reasons why we're doing this study. We want to know, what are the top airlines doing? What does their digital strategy look like? And what types of insights can we take from them and apply to our own businesses, right? Now let's look at the social media performance for March. Whoo, boy, this was really interesting. So let me give you guys the raw numbers first. So in terms of raw numbers, who has the largest following across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok? This is everything combined. Number 1 is Qatar Airways. They have over 44.7 million people following them across all their channels. Third is Emirates at 22.8 million across all channels. Third is Southwest Airlines at 9.84 million. Hawaiian Airlines at 1.41, and Caribbean Airlines at 582,000 followers across all channels. All right. Now this is where it gets interesting, because even though Qatar blows away everybody in terms of sheer raw following, the engagement is where things get interesting. So the top platforms for engagement, not the top platforms, but the top brands for engagement for the month of March. Number 1 was Southwest Airlines. They had in total of all engagement, likes, comments, reactions, any form of engagement is tallied up. They had over 3.91 million engagement actions across all the channels. Second was Emirates at 1.02 million. Third was Qatar Airways at 981,000 engagement actions. Fourth was Hawaiian Airlines at 169,000. And Caribbean Airlines had 12.9 thousand engagement actions across all their channels for the month of March. So again, even though you have the following, that does not equate to engagement and interactions. And look at that. Southwest had 9 million across all their channels and was able to create 3.91 million engagement actions across all their social media channels. They are leading the way when it comes to social media all around, right? The most important part is getting the engagement and building that community. I hope that dispels the notion that you need a high number of followers in order to get the most engagement. So second, that in terms of performance is Qatar Airways. So with the highest follower count at 44.7 million, Qatar Airways witnessed an increase of 236,000 followers. So they grew by 0.53%. And during that period, they had really good paid social traffic. So they had their paid social ads, and that was a significant traffic driver for their social media engagement. Third was Emirates. Fourth was Hawaiian Airlines, and 5 was Caribbean Airlines overall. We're talking about in terms of social media performance for the month of March, all right? And this is looking at, their engagement. The number one performing post in March. So we looked at every single post from all of the brands across all the channels, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, you name it, Instagram. And the number one performing post was a post from Southwest Airlines. It was a video that they posted on TikTok. It was with First Officer Ben and his daughter's first flight. That video on TikTok had 1.44 million engagement actions. So it had 1.4 million likes, 1.97 thousand comments, 17,000 plus shares. Okay? That post had an engagement rate of 467,000%. That's the engagement rate by follower, which we'll get into later. All right? And that has over 11 million views. So it's a video where he's a pilot, he's the first officer, and he's taking his daughter for her first flight. And on top of that, his daughter's name is Ellie Rose. Shout out to you, Miss Rose, on your first flight. So what I've done is I've also put this entire study into an article on my website that I will link to in the show notes. I'm doing the podcast episode to kind of, condense it down a bit where you guys can listen to it. But then if you want to actually see all the numbers and everything and go through it line by line, the link to the article for the case study will be in the show notes, so you can go and check those out. Now, we looked at why did that post perform so well? Why was that the number one post of all of the brands in March with every single post that they had put out? So this performed well for several reasons. Number one, we have the human element. The video features Mr. Ben Rose, the first officer, introducing his daughter Ellie Rose on her first flight with him as a pilot. It was a personal, humanizing story that resonated emotionally with viewers, adding a layer of relatability and warmth to the airline's image. And again, this was posted on Southwest Airlines' TikTok page, right? Relatable humor. The first officer made jokes about his daughter's behavior, which adds to the lightheartedness, humorous element. And again, humor is always going to be a powerful tool for engagement on social media. We like to come on social media for escapism. And if anytime you can provide some entertainment and, that's always going to go a long way. Third it was a memorable milestone. The post captured a significant life event. It was a child's first flight. This type of content performs well as it shares a universally relatable, joyous occasion, right? And then we have already gone through some of the metrics in terms of why this, or in terms of the post. So the 1.42 million likes, 1.97 comments, 1.97 thousand comments, 17,000 shares. It has an extremely high engagement rate. And over 11 million views. So clearly, this was a viral piece of content. This video tells a story that connects videos to the lives of the people behind the airline, fostering that sense of community and shared experience. Now, here's the thing, right? When we looked at the top 4 best performing posts in March, the first 3 were Southwest Airlines. So the first was the father-daughter video on TikTok. The second was another post from them that got 1.74 million engagement actions on the post. Yeah, really interesting. That happened over on TikTok. And then there was then in third, they have another TikTok video that gained over 68,000 engagement actions on it. And then in fourth was Hawaiian Airlines, and it was a video they posted on TikTok, just showcasing some some drinks on their flight, right? So I keep having a tongue twister moment. Southwest Airlines snags the first 3 best performing posts. Number 4 coming in was Hawaiian Airlines. Now, clearly, Southwest Airlines, I used to just call them SW or South something. Clearly, Southwest Airlines clearly knows how to tug at your heartstrings, because even their third post, their third highest performing post, was another father-daughter video, right? So they know how to tug those heartstrings and really promote their family-oriented lifestyle, making you feel like, you're a part of the Southwest family, right? Yeah. So let's break down what engagement rate by follower means. So engagement rate by follower is like measuring how many people in a room are talking to you versus just listening. So if you have 100 followers and your post gets an engagement rate of 10%, that means that 10 of those followers are actively interacting with what you just posted. That includes things like likes, comments, shares, etc. Right? It's calculated by taking the number of interactions a post gets, things like likes, comments, shares, and dividing it by the total number of followers the account has. Then you multiply that number by 100 to get the percentage. This tells you the average percentage of your followers who are engaging with a particular post. Okay? Now let's look at the activity of these brands and the engagement rate for the last month. So check this out, right? So Southwest Airlines again comes in at the number 1 spot. So they posted only 63 posts in the last month, but they had the highest engagement rate at 2.19% per follower. So they posted the least, but they gained the most engagement. Second was Hawaiian Airlines with 89 posts at 0.54% engagement rate per follower. Third was Emirates, 58 posts, but 0.32%. Qatar Airways had the most posts, 208 posts, but had the engagement rate of 0.065%. And Caribbean Airlines came in at number 5 with 116 posts and an engagement rate of 0.048%. So again, Southwest Airlines they posted the second least amount of content at 63 posts, but they had the most engagement out of all of the platforms. So they clearly have a strong connection with their audience. They create the right content that is going to captivate them and engage them. And the results are showing, right? The results are showing. They have the highest amount of website traffic, and they have the highest engagement across their social media channels of the landscape of the people measured, right? Now, what was the top performing social media channel for the landscape that we measured? So we looked at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, aka X, YouTube, and TikTok. So Caribbean Airlines, they posted the most amount of content to their Facebook platform. But when we looked at the entire audience, the platform that generated the highest engagement was TikTok. Now, funny thing is, TikTok had the second least amount of posts to the platform in the entire landscape, but generated the most engagement. So for TikTok, there was about 0.31 posts per day per company, but the engagement when people did post content to TikTok, they had an engagement rate of 4.64% per follower. The second most engaged platform was Instagram. So there was 0.93 posts per day on Instagram, but Instagram generated an engagement rate of 1.09% across the entire landscape of airlines we analyzed. Facebook came in at third, then YouTube, and last was Twitter. Okay? Now, that was the landscape. So the landscape performed TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. But when we looked at Caribbean Airlines, their social media posting mix was Facebook first, Instagram second, Twitter third, YouTube fourth, and TikTok was the least platform that they engaged with or posted content to. Right? So for Caribbean Airlines, they posted the most to Facebook, then Instagram, then Twitter, then YouTube, then TikTok. But the platforms that garnered the most amount of engagement in order for the entire landscape of all the airlines was TikTok, then Instagram, then Facebook, then YouTube, then Twitter. So when you know what is working for the industry giants, then you know what platforms you need to start engaging with the most and creating content for more if you want to build that digital presence, right? Now, let's look at the top performing type of content for the airline. So we looked at things like videos, photos, reels, carousels, status updates, right? So the most common type of post that Caribbean Airlines posted was photos. They posted more than 2.63 photos per day across their channels. Then it was videos at 0.5, then reels at 0.4, carousels at 0.2, and then status updates at 0.1. Now, what was the type of content that generated the most engagement when we looked at all of the airlines? The number one best performing content for all of the airlines was Reels, right? Reels/TikTok videos. Those were the number one most engaging pieces of content that people put out. That had an engagement rate by follower at 1.51%. Second most engaged piece of content the airlines put out was carousels at number 2. Third was video content. 4 was photos. 5 was links, like they barely posted any links to websites or something else. And then last was status updates. That's like your tweets and stuff like that, right? So the most engaged type of content was reels, then carousels, and then video content. So with respects to Caribbean Airlines, they focused on photos and videos first. But they did not really post much reels and they didn't really post any carousels. But in terms of what was working well for the landscape of airlines that we looked at, reels and carousels were the most engaged piece of content that was made, that generated the most engagement, right? Now, we looked at how did their apps perform, because all of them have their own applications, right? Now, I do not have an iOS device. I have Mac products, so the Mac App Store is different than the iOS App Store. So I could not get the data for the iOS App Store, so I had to use the Android App Store for the data, for this particular part of the data. But that's okay, because as of last month, globally, the market share for smartphones is Android makes up 70% of the entire world's smartphone market share, and 28% is iPhones, right? So we're getting a really good idea as to the app performance of these airlines with just the Android data, as 70% of the entire world as of last month uses Android devices. So the number one performing app was Southwest Airlines. They have over 10 million downloads on Android. There's over 154,000 reviews. Their rating is 4.7 out of 5. So again, high website traffic, the most amount of social media engagement. And then when we look at the app, they have over 10 million downloads, 154,000 reviews, and 4.7 stars out of 5 on their app. They came in at number 1. Number 2, the second best performing app was Emirates. They have over 5 million downloads. They have 76,100 reviews with a star rating of 4.6 out of 5. Third was Qatar Airways with over 5 million downloads, but 58,400 reviews with a rating of 4.4 out of 5. Number 4 was Hawaiian Airlines that has over 500,000 downloads, 22,200 reviews, 4.5 out of 5 star rating. And last was Caribbean Airlines with 100,000 downloads, 368 reviews with a star rating of 3.9 out of 5 stars. Now, why was Southwest Airlines the number 1 overall airline in our landscape, from when we look at website analytics to social media performance and app download? Let's look through a couple of reasons. So number 1, one-stop shop. Southwest seamlessly integrates websites, social media, and mobile applications. This smooth user journey fosters brand loyalty and keeps everybody engaged. High traffic. So they have the highest website traffic, showcasing a powerful digital presence and effective online strategies and SEO strategies. They leverage a mix of direct traffic, organic search, paid search, strong email marketing to attract and retain visitors. They've really mastered social media. So Southwest dominates social media, particularly on TikTok and Instagram, with their knack for going viral and engaging content that resonates with audiences. They have the best performing mobile app of the airlines that we analyze, so they're leading in app downloads. They convert their online audience into mobile app users, reflecting high user trust and valuable app features. If the app did not have the features, if it was a poorly built application, it wouldn't have the downloads and have a much lower star rating, right? They have really tapped into customer connection or human connection with their humor and customer-centric content that fuels their social media strategy, boosting engagement and fostering a positive brand image. And their marketing initiatives are not just widespread, but they're also innovative, capitalizing on digital trends and consumer behaviors to stay ahead of the curve. These factors have positioned Southwest as a leader in leveraging digital platforms. Okay? So here are some things that Caribbean Airlines, they need to work on in order to compete. So number 1, the low social media engagement. Caribbean Airlines has shown lower engagement rates on social media platforms compared to its peers, indicating that their content is not resonating with their audience. Number 2, fewer app downloads. With significantly fewer app downloads, the airline's digital tools may not be as widely adopted or valued by customers, pointing towards potential gap in functionality or possibly even the marketing of the application. How many of us even know that there's a Caribbean Airlines application, right? And then the people that do download it have rated it pretty poorly because it's in the 3s, so there clearly is some work that has to be done on the app, right? Limited use of high engaging content. So the airline has not leveraged high engagement content types like Reels and TikTok videos, which have been shown to dramatically increase interaction and brand visibility as given their peers from Southwest and the other brands. When it comes to website traffic, they don't have the greatest SEO strategy or website traffic strategy because they have the lowest amount of traffic and engagement out of all of the brands that we have analyzed. So there needs to be some work in terms of SEO strategies to be able to bring in new customers or new clients or new site visitors, and also give them people a reason to stay and have them keep on coming back after they have checked it out. And last but not least, number 5, they need to create better stories. So all of the destinations that they fly to, they have known and unknown attractions. If they start to create more stories and start to teach people more about the destinations that they fly to, this can make for better stories and better content that they could then post on social media. They could definitely tap into that human element and humanize the content. There's a lot that they can do in terms of storytelling with all of the Caribbean islands that they fly to. There's a lot of stories that they could be told that they need to be tapping into. So let's look at like a quick SEO strategy for Caribbean Airlines. So I typically monitor traffic for one of my clients for each Caribbean island, right? So in the last 30 days, Puerto Rico has had, so the audience we're looking at is the audience is in the U.S. So we're looking at the U.S. as an audience. Puerto Rico has been Googled 1 million times in the last 30 days, followed by Aruba at 550,000, Dominican Republic, then Jamaica, Curacao at 368,000 times in the last 30 days, then the Bahamas, and then Guyana at 301,000, right? So that's how many times people in the U.S. have Googled these countries. Now, let's look at Aruba, for example, all right? So the people in the U.S. that are searching for Aruba in terms of age demographics, 44% of the people who looked for Aruba in the U.S. were between the ages of 35 to 44. 24% of those people were 45 to 54, and 11% of the people that searched for Aruba was 18 to 24. So knowing the ages of the people searching for Aruba will allow us to create content that fits each specific age bracket and will help us with our ad targeting to ensure the right ages see the intended content. So let's take a deeper dive. When we look into Aruba, what types of things are people in the U.S. looking for online when it comes to Aruba? So Aruba all-inclusives was searched for 135,000 times in the U.S., then Aruba all-inclusive resorts, Aruba hotels, Aruba ocean villas, Aruba Barcelona, right? These are some of the things that people have been searching for. But let's take the search term Aruba all-inclusive. What types of content could we develop for people looking for Aruba all-inclusive? Well, let me give you 6 types of content that Caribbean Airlines could do for people looking for Aruba all-inclusives. Number 1, the ultimate guide to all-inclusive vacations in Aruba, a comprehensive blog post detailing the best all-inclusive resorts in Aruba, tips for making the most of an all-inclusive stay, and how to book flights with Caribbean Airlines for a seamless vacation experience. Number 2, Aruba all-inclusive top picks by travel experts, a video series featuring travel experts or travel influencers visiting and reviewing all-inclusive resorts in Aruba, showcasing the amenities and activities available with the focus on how Caribbean Airlines can enhance that vacation experience. Then we got Aruba all-inclusive deals and packages, an informative page or digital brochure highlighting exclusive all-inclusive vacation packages to Aruba, available only through Caribbean Airlines. So that would include things like the special offers, the flights, the hotel deals, added benefits for booking through the airline. Then you could dive into why choose Aruba for your next all-inclusive getaway. An engaging infographic or interactive content piece illustrating the unique attractions of Aruba, comparisons with other Caribbean destinations, and the advantage of choosing an all-inclusive package, emphasizing the convenience of flying with Caribbean Airlines. And I have a couple more ideas as well. Again, you can go through that in the actual written guide. But these are some ideas that you can now create for the people looking for Aruba all-inclusive. And this is going to mix in your search engine strategies and also your social media content that you're putting out. And then when you run ads, against the term Aruba all-inclusive, that can show up on the Google searches, the Bing searches, and then you could also run ads against your Aruba content on social media, targeting the people who are looking for Aruba all-inclusives. Another term, and again, giving you one more example, right? Another term that people were looking for was Aruba all-inclusive ideas. So what I did was I grabbed the age ranges of the people that were looking for Aruba all-inclusive ideas, because that was searched for 135,000 times. And the main age bracket was people between the ages of 35 and 44, like 60+%. Secondly was 45 to 54. So now when you know the age ranges of the people who are conducting the searches for something like Aruba all-inclusive, you could then turn that into content that matches the age brackets. So for people who were 35 to 44, you could create content around family vacation planning tips, highlighting year-round activities in Aruba for all ages. Chances are people between the ages of 35 and 44 have a family they're looking to do a vacation with. You know, get in on the platforms that they're probably going to be on, Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok, Instagram, and the types of content you're going to put out. It could be infographics, video content, family packing lists, itineraries, activity ideas. Again, the goal is now to figure out what type of content to create for each age demographic that you know is looking for Aruba all-inclusives. For the age bracket of 45 to 54, you could do content around culinary journeys in Aruba, featuring traditional dishes and recipes. That could be, you could do photo carousels of local cuisine, recipe videos, cooking tips from Aruban chefs. These again, these are just some ideas that you could create for people in that age demographic. All right. So that's an idea of what we call an SEO strategy, where the business Caribbean Airlines could start doing some data research, just like we did for this case study, looking to see what are people in some of our bigger markets. So our markets like the US, the UK, Canada, when it comes to the Caribbean, what exactly are they looking for? We can tap into the search data to see what they're looking for, where they're located, and that's going to paint a picture for us so we know exactly what type of content to create. And I'll probably add this to the case study, but when I look at Aruba for the US over the last 12 months, we can also see the states that are searching for Aruba. So Massachusetts is the number one state looking for Aruba over the last 12 months. Then it's New Jersey, then it's New Hampshire, then it's Rhode Island, then it's Connecticut. So knowing where the people are located that are searching for Aruba, that would now allow us to target these particular states. So we could run digital ads with that Aruba content, and rather than targeting everybody from 18 to 65, we could now say, hey, we're going to create this one piece of content for the 18 to 24 crowd, and then we're going to push that to Massachusetts. Then we're going to look at, who was the other person? Where'd it go? Then we're going to look at people between the ages of 45 to 54, and we're going to push content to those people in New Jersey or New Hampshire. But again, when you have all of these data points and you know where these people are located conducting the searches for Aruba, now you could be more strategic with the type of content you create, the type of copy, the type of visuals, and then where you go out and target your ads and your content to. Because you don't need to target all of the U.S., because all of the U.S. is not searching for Aruba. So knowing who in the U.S. is searching for Aruba, you could then target your ads accordingly. The copy is going to be different. You could then say, hey, Massachusetts, would you like to come to Aruba? We have Aruba all-inclusives, yada, 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 that type of thing. And then you can also go and search for what is the average age of the people in Massachusetts. And again, align your marketing all around ensuring that you get the right content. So if you know the average age of people in Massachusetts is between the ages of 45 and 60 or whatever, then best bet is to create the content for that age bracket first. When you look at your data, you already know that the highest performing, or the people that are conducting the searches for Aruba, 44% is 35 to 44. Second is 45 to 54. So if you do some research for Massachusetts and you realize that they have a higher population in that 45 to 54 range, because that's a good chunk of your people in your data that you're seeing searching for Aruba, you could start there. That'd be the first piece of content you create and the first ad that you run against that content targeting that age bracket, right? But again, there's so much data available for us when we do the data research, and that should be informing the content that we put out to the world. So I hope you enjoyed this case study on Caribbean Airlines versus the industry giants in the digital age, and how Caribbean Airlines stacked up against Emirates, Qatar Airways, Southwest Airlines, and Hawaiian Airlines. We also gave some strategies for them to improve and broke down, where they sit and why Southwest was doing the best. And then we also gave some tips on a SEO and marketing strategy. So I really hope you were able to take something away from this episode. We're going to be doing more case studies as time goes on. They do take some time to put together, all right, as you can imagine. But we'll definitely do some more. Because I think there's a lot to learn when we get these case studies done. So I'm going to have a link to the written case study so you guys can go through it line for line. This episode was really kind of just to highlight what we did and what was going on in that landscape. But link for the case study will be in the show notes. So you guys can go take a look at that. All right. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and rate the podcast on whichever platform you are using. That could be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Make sure to rate the podcast, like the podcast. And if you guys really enjoyed it, don't forget to drop a review. The reviews continue to help grow the Digipreneur family all across the world. This is where people go to determine whether or not they even want to take in the podcast, right? So definitely go and support the podcast by dropping your reviews or dropping your comments over on YouTube. Don't forget you can follow me across all social media platforms at KERONROSC. You can also go check out the website, KaronRose.com. Link to that in the show notes to learn more about building your digital presence and monetizing your platforms. And don't forget to sign up for the email list or the push notification list at the Digipreneur FM website to stay up to date on all things happening with the podcast. That is it for me today. It is a Thursday. We got one more day until Friday. Yay. Enjoy the rest of your week. And I will see you guys and gals in the next one. Take care.
You've been listening to the Digiboss, Karan Rose. We hope your notepad was filled after this episode. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. The learning doesn't stop, folks. And to make sure you don't miss any gems from the Digiboss, go over and follow him on all social media platforms at Karan Rose. Folks, don't just sit there with a notepad. We need you to implement at least one thing into your business before the next episode. That's the only way your business levels up. Thanks for listening to Digipreneur FM. Now go be great.